We've received quite a bit of interest in my free to be workshop. So to that effect, beneath this video is a link that will give you a description for the workshop. And we've also included a special discount. So if that's something you would be interested in, I would invite you to click that link, and I hope that you would find the course to be quite beneficial. The longer you're associated with a strongly narcissistic individual, the more you find yourself having what we might refer to as negative attachments. Now, we have a more technical term for that, and that's called trauma bonding. And then sometimes we'll even refer to it as complex trauma bonding. When we talk about trauma, it means that your emotional system has ingredients that are injected into it that are so strong and so powerful and so overwhelming that in the moment you just don't know what to do with it. It kind of paralyzes you. It's like inwardly you don't have the bandwidth to know how to manage it in a successful way. And then when we refer to complex trauma bonding, we're talking about the bonding experiences happening over and over and over to the extent that it becomes normalized. And that's one of the most difficult things for you as you're trying to break out, because in fact, the narcissist wants you to think that they stand for what is normal, and in the process, you wind up losing yourself. Now, I want to see if I can talk with you about some of the things that would indicate that you are in fact in that trauma bond, the complex trauma bond with the narcissist. But then I want us to talk about how you can make your own path away from that negative attachment. So, and this is going to be so essential for you to understand what you're dealing with and what kind of power you still have left on the inside of yourself, despite what they want you to think. Now, the easiest indicators that let us know that you are in fact in this complex trauma bond are certain ingredients. For example, narcissists have a heavy need for control, and you'll find yourself in control battles with that narcissist. They'll use persuasion and pleading and convincing toward you, and sometimes you do the very same thing back toward them. So when you find yourself in control games, you know that you're way too strongly in their grasp. Likewise, narcissists are heavily defensive. And as a result, you wind up being heavily defensive too. Part of their defense is to strategize a good offense where they come at you with all sorts of accusations and blame statements and shaming statements. And as a result, you can find yourself rationalizing and justifying who you are. You want to throw up your walls just as they have their walls up. It's like, I don't want to reveal myself to this individual. That's not natural. That's not healthy. But nonetheless, when you're in that ongoing relationship with a narcissist, that becomes part of their normalizing process with you. In addition, you'll find that you, on the receiving end of their control and the defensiveness, you find yourself sometimes being way too appeasing. It's like, whatever I have to think, say, or do to get that person off my back, I'm willing to do so. And as a result, you find yourself suppressing much of your own emotion and legitimacy, and the narcissist continues to push forward with their initiatives toward dominance. In addition, when you know that you're probably in a strong trauma bonding when there's an ongoing element of secrets. Narcissists themselves are highly secretive. There are things about themselves that they don't want you to know, whether it's behaviors that they are involved in that they just want to keep private from you, or revealing certain things about their own personal life, history, etc., that might show them to be, human or weak. And then in addition, you know that you're probably in a trauma bond when there's a chronic ongoing sense of anger and protest and rebellion and slurs and smears. And you can see that all of these kind of ingredients go into the relationship to where, like I say, it becomes the norm. And I'm hoping there's a time that you decide, you know what? This is crazy, and I don't want to be associated with crazy. I don't want that to become my standard of living. I can do better. So that being the case, let's say that if you're going to take a path away from that narcissist trauma bond, you're going to need to learn how to individualize your own personal efforts and decide Who am I going to be despite what this narcissistic individual says I'm supposed to be? Now, I have 6 steps that I want to walk you through, and I hope that you pay very careful attention to this because it involves your thought process, which will then lead to your behavioral and communicational adjustments. Now, the first thing that you're going to need to do as you break free, if you make your own path away from that narcissist, is remind yourself, I have a separate and distinct self. That is so essential because the narcissist wants to drain you of yourself. They want to fill you with who they are. But you know what? There comes a point where you say, I don't have to be what the narcissist says I'm supposed to be. I'm going to consult with me first. And that is so important as you make your way towards healing. Second, and I've already used this word, freedom. You want to declare within yourself and live into the whole notion of freedom. First of all, I have my own self. Second, I have the freedom to be what I am. And that is an enormous kind of word. That means I don't have to filter my thoughts and decisions through that of the person. I'll certainly listen to individuals. I don't have to live according to their fixed agenda that they keep reminding me of over and over. I don't have to ask them permission to be what I am. I'm competent, I'm capable, then that means I have the privilege, I have the capability of making my decisions for myself. That's freedom, the privilege to choose. I'm going to lean into that. That's the mindset. Now, having said that, a third step is I'm hoping that you can identify the trends that have held you back from becoming your separate self and your free self. I mentioned just a couple of moments ago that you have those control battles and you're constantly defensive and you find yourself appeasing and having to explain yourself and then getting caught up in all the anger. And I'm hoping you can say, there are times when I've participated in that and I don't want to be that kind of person anymore. Which then leads us to step number 4, and that is identify your better, healthy alternatives. I'm hoping you can ask yourself the question, who am I? What do I stand for? What do I believe? What are my priorities? What are my values? What are my standards? And then what you do is you lean into that. I'm hoping you can decide, I'm going to determine that if the narcissist chooses to be angry, that's on them. That's not what I stand for. I don't feel the need to just go toe-to-toe and blow-to-blow with that individual. Or if the narcissist says something that's harsh and mean, and if it doesn't fit with my mindset, I'm not going to go into that trying to plead my case. I'm going to go ahead and determine I am who I am. I know what my alternatives are, and I'm not going to let that unhealthy person establish my pace emotionally and relationally. Then a 5th step is to come to terms with what you're going to do with the narcissist's contributions in your life. That narcissist contributes control and anger and all of that. I had one woman explain to me once, and this really made a lot of sense to me. First of all, she just said to me, I had to come to terms with the fact that my own family member was a mentally sick person, a mentally and emotionally unhealthy individual, and I had to remind myself of that over and over. And then, knowing that, it's a matter of then deciding that person, therefore, can't be in charge of who I am. Sometimes, as you come to terms with that narcissist, you may decide that you'll need to go no contact. Sometimes, if that's not possible, you go gray rock. Or you just minimize your elements in that your responses to that person as much as you can. You're going to need to come to terms with what you're going to do with your resentments and some of the bitterness that's been going on the inside of yourself. And I'm hoping it can prompt you to go into assertiveness and establishing healthy boundaries, which is why we make these videos and have our courses to teach you how to do those kind of things. And then a 6th step away from the narcissist trauma bond is go back to your basics. What is it that I stand for? And I'm hoping you can focus in on characteristics like love and respect and honor and decency, healthy initiatives, making healthy connections with people who are kind and good, and then having an ongoing commitment towards self-care. That's what we're talking about when we refer to you making your own path away from the narcissist who wants to keep you bonded in trauma with them. So I want to go back to that simple phrase, I lost myself. So many people have said that to me, and it breaks my heart whenever I hear that. Let's lean into the better alternative. And that is start with the notion that says, I love who I am. You are singularly unique. Don't let the narcissist take that away from you. And then we can say that anyone who perpetuates narcissism clearly does not understand love. I get that. Along with that, we're going to say be patient with yourself as you lean into your movement away from that other individual. Refrain from defending yourself. You've already done that way too much. It's okay for you to just simply be you. And if the narcissist says that doesn't compute with me, it's like, I know, I get it. In the meantime, check your propensity towards cynicism. You know, one of the things that I see in so many cases is the narcissist has gotten so into another individual's head that they have this sense of bitterness and negativity and pessimism. Yes, there is evil in the world, but good still exists too. Be an ambassador for good. Likewise, encourage other individuals who also have had their trauma bonds. It's so helpful when you can have other individuals who will say, well, maybe I haven't experienced it quite like this, but I know what you're talking about. And avail yourself to support groups and recovery groups. It can be part of a healing response. Likewise, as you continue to take your path away from the narcissist trauma bonds, remind yourself that sometimes you're still going to be triggered with anger or fear. And rather than shaming yourself for that, which is what the narcissist does, allow for that, and yet don't let that become the standard and the norm. Let yourself be human and then ask the question, what is my anger or confusion or bitterness trying to tell me? And listen to it and then go in the direction that it would carry you. Likewise, carve out plenty of time for you to find your peace and joy and find activities that will substantiate those kinds of ingredients. Build on the courage to be true to yourself. Now, as you take your path away from the narcissist, that person is going to scoff. They're going to say, you don't know what you're doing, which to me only proves one thing. And that is they're so deeply tied to their own false self that they don't get it when somebody like yourself says, well, I want to be true to who I am. But you know what we're going to say? I know better than where that narcissist wants to lead me. And in fact, I am committed to being my best version of me. That's how you make your pathway away from the narcissist trauma bond. Now, I hope that videos such as this give you some good food for thought. If you've not already done so, I would encourage you to click that subscribe button and notification bell along with it. Hit the like button, and we'll keep more videos coming at you. Likewise, I know that many times when you are dealing with this, it would be helpful for you if you had someone who could help you sift this out. That's why I'm sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. There's a whole team of licensed professional therapists that can assist you in that. It's an online therapy service. There's a link below the video here that will take you to their website, and you get a 10% discount for the first month. Please seek the therapy as you know the need is there. Likewise, I also have my therapeutic courses, and these are very extensive. I put a lot of work into them, and each course has multiple videos, like 25 or more, and each video has written documentation with questions that will lead you in a certain direction. We have Ready, Set, Connect about making good connection skills. This is me about establishing those boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite those controllers. We also have my webinars that have been produced, and they're on our website. You can look into those. And in addition, we have my podcast. We have many articles on our website, my books, and plenty of resources. The narcissists, because of their craving for power, want you to stay attached to them. And I'm hoping you can decide that is a formula for not good living. I'm not playing along with that. I do have this sense that says I have my own separate self, and I'm going to lean into that and discover that as fully and as thoroughly as I can. It's going to be an ongoing discovery process, and that's what I'm hoping you're committed to. And in the end, I'm hoping it leads you to a place of steadiness so that ultimately you can find your peace.